Okay, some people asked, at least one person did, and thanks for the question, what about the rice? Okay, so today we're going to harvest it. Don't know how much it's going to be. I'm just going to cut the tops off with a pair of scissors. But before I get started, I'll show you. I got a half gallon. Well, it's obviously not going to fill that up, but just a container to put it in and go over my plans are, because I've never grown rice before, so I wanted to see how much I was going to get. The other day I broke one of these out, and there is little rice grains in there. I watched some rice harvesting videos, like primitive stuff, I forgot the name of the channel, but they do primitive techniques, and they were harvesting the rice and bashing the rice with a big stick. And I was hoping to use I got a paint stirrer from a thrift store some time ago. I never used it. I was like, man, I'll put this stuff in a 5-gallon bucket, hit it with my paint mixer, and see if it'll break all these rices out. That's my idea. In fact, I'd like to try that, but I went to go do it. I realized the paint stirrer doesn't fit my drill. So for the meantime, I'm just going to harvest them because I waited as long as possible. It's very late in the season, and should harvest them already. Like giving them every possible second they could have to mature. So let me harvest some rice with both hands here, and I'll come back and cut back in here. So far, this is what I have in this half-gallon jar. It's actually surprising how much I'm getting out of this. I still have like half of it left to go, and I wonder how many of these rice grains have fallen out since I'm picking this so late, and how many is in the water down here below. If I'll get volunteer rice, or if they'll just rot over the winter. Although I'm curious for sure to see what this is going to be when it's all processed, because right now it's halfway through that gallon jar, but that's because it's still got stalks and they're not processed down in individual grains, and they still have the shell on them, and I'm not expecting to get a whole lot once it's fully processed, but we'll see, is this a viable means of calories for the space? And this is the only crop that grew in this kiddie pool all winter. I have a couple of cut tomatoes I threw in there to root because I hit them with a weed eater, and so they may end up in the greenhouse, or at least maybe some cuttings. But other than that, this is the only thing that's been in here. So all summer long, maybe I could have rotated 2 other crops in here. But then again, this is a kiddie pool. It's not really going to grow. Well, I guess once I punch a bunch of holes in the bottom of it and fill it with soil. Is this a good use? I'm starting to think maybe it's worth it. I don't know. We'll see whenever it's all done, because I have a second kiddie pool. Maybe I should do 2 of them. Maybe I could save some of this rice for seed and do 2. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't decided what to do with all this, if I should let it dry, or if I should take and pound it up, or try and see if I can find some kind of adapter for my paint mixer and try that idea in a 5-gallon bucket with the paint mixer and see how effective that is at breaking all the brand off. So we'll see. It's a first for me. So keep along with the process here, and I'll let you guys know everything that goes on. Alright, so chopped it all off with that pair of scissors. Dropped a little bit in the water, but I got most of it. And here it is. I'll shake it up, settle it a bit. Okay, so it's all chopped down. Let's see what I got. Alright, so this is what I got in the half-gallon jar. Shake it down. I'm going to kind of stuff it down. My hand is stuck. Alright. Let's see what I got. So, if I get 2 cups of rice out of this, I'll be surprised. That being said, the experiment did work. Let's talk about the setup and whether or not it's practical. Got me a seat here. Camera going all crazy like usual. Everybody who ever watches these videos knows that I talk too much and my camera quality is too poor. Alright, so it worked. My RC experiment worked. I was able to grow rice. Climate. Okay, I'm in southern Ohio. So this is pretty far north for growing rice. Rice is a southern crop. I can see it's a very space-intensive crop. So in this same small area, it's just a little kiddie pool. I was able to get, I'm going to guess, 2 cups of rice out of this. Let's talk about the setup. I used 1 bag of, I think it's only 1 bag, of compost at the bottom of this kiddie pool. Didn't drill any holes or anything for drainage, obviously, and planted in it. Once I had I planted the seeds in a seed tray, starting tray, in groups, and then I transplanted those bunches into here. I have a video about that, which I'll link in the description or a tag or card or whatever, so that if you're interested to see how to set this up. So I do see where you could do this if you had the space, and especially if you had an area of, like, say, your yard or something that was swampy and you couldn't really grow anything else. Then this would be something that you could make some use out of that space. As far as for an SHTF crop, how practical is this? Not super practical. It's much better idea to just go and buy a bunch of rice. Because this rice took so long to grow that I could have planted potatoes in here twice for the amount of time that this rice grew, and got many more pounds of potatoes than I got out of rice. Then again, rice is extremely versatile, dries and stores for a very, very long time. So I'm not disappointed in it, and I probably will grow it again. I have a second kiddie pool. Maybe I'll do both of them next year. Location goes, how could I have done this better? Okay, this is right next to the wall of that garage. So where it does maybe get some wind block, it might be a little bit better for warmth early on in the year. It doesn't get as much sunlight because, like say here it is in the afternoon. I just dropped my thing, latched onto my wrist, my camera. Let's see what time it is. Alright, it's 1:30 in the afternoon. Admittedly, as the year grows longer, in the tooth, I guess you'd say, as it gets closer to wintertime, the angle of the sun changes, and so you get more shade here, and the same thing in the early spring. So this right now is would get more light in the summer, but throughout the course of the year, this is a bad spot to put it because of the shade it gets off of that garage. So if this were to be somewhere else in the garden, I think it would have done better. Had I put a lot more fertilizer and did more care of it, it may have been better. It might have gotten bigger rice pods. Maybe if I didn't plant so thick. This is 1 seed packet from Baker Creek. So, but I think that's a fair amount. 1 seed packet and 1 kiddie pool, and it produced a couple cups of rice probably. Now, what am I going to do with this rice? Oh, there's one thing about rice growing. This is the first time I've ever successfully grown rice. I tried it last year. It was a flop. But I talked about that in the rice growing where I planted it video. So, what was I going to say about this? Oh, we're going to get this extra little bit. I'm spotting more rice as I'm talking. Alright, so if I wanted to do this again, what would be some changes? Maybe some better, like I said, better sunlight. Maybe putting some fertilizer might be a good idea. Okay, sorry about the interruptions. My phone keeps ringing. The last thing I wanted to mention about growing rice is in my research, I found that, from what I read anyways, I haven't tried it. Like I said, it's my first successful year growing it. That you don't have to grow it in water. So the main reason for growing in water is because it does grow in water, which means most things don't. So you have a lot less weed pressure. So you can grow this essentially where weeds don't grow very well, if at all. And so you don't have to worry about this rice competing with other plants. Now I grew the amaranth, which I'm going to harvest next here in a minute. The yields were looking great, looking like I was going to get a lot more than I was getting out of rice. for the ones in the bed, the ones that plant directly in the ground were a total flop. Over there by where I had the giant corn patch. And so, but when I got sick, everything got overrun by grass, weeds, vines took over everything and choked off most of my crops. So, and of course, there was neighbors spraying Roundup and everything else happening bad in the garden, which hopefully won't be the case next year. And I'm going to try and grow some stuff over the freezing cold winter in my little cheesy greenhouse over there. But for the meantime, I have to dig that out a little bit better so I can level it. I didn't level it before I put it up last year, and that was a big mistake. And so I dug it out part way. I'm going to dig it out the rest of the way, get it leveled in there, get some plants that I want to save, like maybe some of these tomato cuttings or something, because it's supposed to get down to 30s tonight, and see if I can have at least some lettuce or something like that growing in there, maybe some radishes or who knows. A lot of my seeds stocked out all wet and ruined. Just bad luck happening, but hey, that's such is life, right? So anyways, without rambling on too much about that, the rice doesn't necessarily have to grow in water. So the main reason for growing in water, like I said, is weed control. So you could, if you wanted to increase this yield, grow it in a garden bed, from what I understand from reading about it. I said I have not personally tried that. And if that's the case, you could probably get a lot more yield for the size, because you have a lot bigger plot than just a kiddie pool. Downside of that, that's taking up space, at least up here. Like if there's a really long growing season, and I could have grown this and something else, some potatoes or something on the same plot, then you're getting the double crop going on, and it might be better. But considering this takes the entire summer, spring, summer, and into fall to get rice here, and it's a single crop out of that space, probably potatoes would be, or sweet potatoes, or something like that would be a better use of space in my case, in my scenario here. Because I have the kiddie pool set up and you can't really grow anything else in water, I may just continue to grow rice in here and just let it accumulate, because it does store dry for a long time. If asteroid impact ever does come and take us all out, at least I got enough rice seeds here where I could plant a whole field of rice out of this. There's probably hundreds of little individual grains in here. So I could multiply my crop quite a bit if there was the room for it. Then you're talking about a lot of labor-intensive farming or whatever. So that's pretty much how the rice experiment went for the moment. Of course, this is not going to be into the video. I'm going to let this sit and dry a little bit. You see some moisture is already building up. I'm not sure what it shows on camera, but it's building up a little bit in the side of this glass. So I may transfer this into another glass container so I can reuse this half-gallon to try and get my my amaranth. Maybe I'll stick my amaranth in a smaller container just so I can harvest it and let this dry for a bit, and then I'm going to see if I can get an adapter or something for the paint or sprayer, or not sprayer, paint mixer, or maybe just use the old stick and 5-gallon bucket method of breaking the brand off and see how much actual rice, see if I actually get a couple of cups or 1 cup or 2 cups or whatever I actually get of finished rice. I have one more seed pack. I bought 2 seed packs last year. I only used 1 in this, so I have another seed pack for next year, so I don't have to save any of this for seed, although I certainly could. So that's it for the moment. Whenever I do some more, I'll add on this video. In the meantime, it's probably just going to sit in the archive until I have some more footage. Alright, so that's it for the moment. I'll come back once I figure out what I'm going to do with this rice. For those curious what rice I used in that, this is the other seed pack I was talking about. So it's Carolina Gold rice I got from Baker Creek. It was one of these seed packs. That's what I grew in the